Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. My name is Beverly Wilkes. I am the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Bell. And we're super excited that you're here to join us for this great conversation on friend or foe, right? AI and cybersecurity, friend or foe, managing the risks of generative AI. And I'm joined by Tala Iqbal, the director of the Cyber Intelligence Center at Stratagem. So, hello, Talha. How are you?
I'm good, Beverly. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. Well, a little housekeeping for everybody who's here. We have muted everybody's mics so that we could ensure that we could get through this presentation and have answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation. But in the meantime, you could certainly use the chat box or even the question mark in the bubble to ask your questions, and then I will go through those and work with you on that at the end of the session. So, Talha, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Talha Iqbal. I'm the director of Cyber Intelligence Center at Stratagem, which is our 24/7, 365 SOC. I'm excited to take you through the topic of evolving cybersecurity risks, especially AI in cybersecurity, friend or foe, and managing the risks of generative AI. So we'll look at how generative AI is transforming the threat landscape and more importantly, how we can defend against it. So what we'll be covering today, we'll start with looking at the rapid growth of AI. We'll explore some trends, some threat behavior, and how threat actors are using generative AI to their advantage. We'll also look at some security vendors and how they're utilizing AI to fight back, and I'll introduce you to the Bell Stratagem AI Advantage on how we are using AI and integrated technology mapped into our cyber mesh architecture to support and secure organizations. At the end, we'll wrap up with some guidance on creating an AI defense strategy. We'll talk about AI governance, best practices, and we'll close with some summary and Q&A. So with that said, let's move on to our first topic. Before I jump into the slides, I want to talk about the latest research by Tech Target. And I came across that yesterday as I was kind of going across the material here. Tech Target Enterprise Strategy Group, they conducted a research where they concluded that 85% of organizations today are either already using or planning to use or actively considering the use of AI, which includes both generative AI, predictive AI, ML AI across multiple functional areas, including IT operations. Now, the key thing here was the use of AI as part of your IT operations. Now, why? That is the question. Well, IT teams today are under immense pressure. They're expected to move faster. They're expected to drive digital transformation. They're looking at reducing their operational cost and even minimizing their environmental impact. All of this simultaneously at the same time. Now, this is increasing the dependency on AI, which has become a critical enabler for that transformation. Hence, the conclusion of that research was organizations are turning to AI to eliminate manual tasks. They are turning to AI to boost efficiency, to deliver better outcomes, and achieving those indicators of success through generative AI tools like Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. Now, this research that I referenced, it surveyed 360 IT professionals across US and Canada who were directly involved in IT service management. The researchers wanted to understand how AI is shaping their tool choices, how AI is influencing buying decisions, and how AI is impacting their overall strategies. So it's safe to say that organizations are rapidly adopting AI and utilizing it in their day to day operations, in decision making, in influencing their overall strategies. The goal of the research was to understand and get a real world view of what is driving the utilization of AI in IT ops, right? And how vendors need to adapt their value proposition to stay relevant in this rapidly evolving space. So, what was concluded was that organizations are commonly seeing positive benefits from the integration of automation into AI processes and AI has become that enabler to achieve the desired outcomes. So, with that said, we know that AI adoption is accelerating, especially among Canadian businesses. What's driving this growth is not just innovation, but the need to improve efficiency. And that's the key word here. Now, take a look at how Canadian businesses are rapidly embracing AI. According to the data, 56% of organizations say that they increase their AI investments either today or in the near future, right? So this tells us that AI isn't just a trend, it's becoming a core strategic asset for many organizations. Now, businesses are recognizing the long term value of AI, and not only in terms of automation, but in unlocking new levels of insights and efficiency. Now, if you look at the second stat here, 71% of all staff are using tools like ChatGPT on a semi-regular basis to complete their work tasks. This shows that AI is being used on the front lines, right? So from marketing teams writing content to analysts summarizing reports to customer service using chatbots, AI has already been embedded into your daily workflows. Now, the most telling of all is 6 out of 10 organizations are now using AI in 2025, compared to 1 out of 7 a year ago. That's a huge leap in a very short period of time. And this is especially relevant when you consider what's driving it, right? So, as shown on the right, the fast adoption is driven by the need to scale AI initiatives quickly, often due to staffing challenges, right? So many organizations are dealing with talent shortage or they are dealing with budget restrictions. So AI is increasingly seen as a way to augment existing teams and maintain productivity without always needing to grow your headcount. Now, as we look at the rapid utilization of AI across Canadian businesses, there are four key trends that are really shaping the landscape right now. The first one being accessibility. Now, one of the biggest shifts we are seeing is how accessible AI has become. And I'm talking about generative AI in particular, which has lowered the barrier to entry. You no longer need to know how to code to use AI effectively. Now, employees can interact with tools using plain language, which means that teams across departments, right, HR, finance, IT, they can start using AI without heavy technical support or without heavy technical insights. This is one of the main reasons why we're seeing AI being used at a very rapid rate at every level of the organization. Secondly, if you look at use case maturity, organizations are moving beyond just experimenting with AI or using it for one off tasks. They are seeing real integration into core business processes. For example, in IT, AI is helping with automated ticketing. AI is helping with incident resolution, incident analysis. In operations, it's being used for predictive maintenance. In finance, it's being utilized for advanced data analytics. And in risk management, it's helping the teams forecast and do risk modeling. Now, this not only signals a shift from curiosity to commitment, but now we understand that AI has become an integral part of your day to day operation. It's embedded in the complete life cycle and operations of your organization's core principles. Now, if you look at the AI risk awareness, many organizations are still playing catch up when it comes to formalizing AI policies. They have not restricted or they have not set up access controls. They still don't understand where sensitive data might be exposed. And especially when we talk about shadow AI, employees are using generative AI tools without proper approval or without oversight. So it's becoming a serious risk vector, but that's not stopping employees from utilizing the tool. So what we need is a proper governance framework to better manage the use of AI. And last is SMBs. Small and medium sized businesses are embracing AI. Thanks to the easy utilization, ease of use, off the shelf Gen AI tools being available readily, and they're using AI to automate tasks and improve customer experience. So it's helping the teams stay competitive. It's helping them to reduce operational overhead, especially in today's tight labor market. Now, whether you are a large enterprise or a growing business, the message is clear. AI is becoming foundational, but it has to be deployed responsibly. Now, one of the less talked about and critically important aspect of AI is the risk it introduces, particularly around data exposure. Now, while AI is important, right, and we can use it to be more productive, we can use it to be more efficient, we can use it to enhance our automation and our day-to-day operational capabilities, but it doesn't come without challenges, right? And if we look at the numbers, especially around data classification, which already is a difficult task, right? 44% of organizations admit that their employees are entering sensitive data into Gen AI tools like ChatGPT. Even more concerning is that 60% say they don't know where or at least half of their sensitive data resides, or that the data has not been classified at all, right? And that number is alarming, right? 60%. Now, these stats paint a stark picture of how fragile our current state of data governance is. Now, if we dig deeper into some key takeaways, right, behind the numbers, why AI is rapidly introducing risk exposure into the enterprise. Now, first, we look at discovery, classification, protection, and it remains a challenge, right? Despite years of investment in data security tools, many organizations are still struggling to answer a simple question: where is our sensitive data, and have data classification exercise been performed to label that data. See, data discovery and classification have always been a weak point. Organizations in the past have invested in DLP tools, data loss prevention tools, but they fall short or get sidelined due to the complexity or false positives. Now, AI is bringing a new opportunity here. It can automate the discovery, it can automate the classification process of your data, but here's the catch. If not governed properly, AI can also accelerate data exposure. If an AI model is trained on identifying sensitive content or it's utilized in unsecure environment, it becomes a liability instead of an asset. So, AI is both a risk and a remedy. Now, this is a paradox that we're all navigating right now. We have access to tools like ChatGPT, particularly when employee feed data and confidential data into ChatGPT, it creates risk, right? But AI is also becoming our best defense. Cybersecurity platforms are now using AI to detect data movement. They're using AI to identify sensitivity levels. They're using AI to identify access patterns and anomalous behavior. AI tools are being used as an analytics engine, right? So if you feed log data into the AI tools, it can give you an overall review of what type of behavior was identified, right? So AI embedded into your tools can allow you to have additional visibility on your endpoint servers and cloud environment, right? So while AI introduces risk of data exposure, it also offers the tools to proactively manage and mitigate those risks if deployed responsibly, right? And to deploy it responsibly, we need governance. Now we are seeing a gap between organizations that are governing their AI and those that are not. Now, early adopters are building in data governance from the start, right? So they're classifying data, they're applying role-based access control, they're creating usage policy for their staff. While those who are lacking behind, they often lack visibility. And they're the one who are more likely to say, we don't know where our sensitive data is. Well, that's a major vulnerability. And we need proper governance to identify those gaps and to utilize AI to our benefit, right? Rather than it becoming a risk, it should become a remedy for us. Now, as businesses embrace AI to improve efficiency, to improve productivity, and for innovation, threat actors are doing the exact same thing, but for very different reasons, right? We are now entering a new era of cyber threats where attackers are weaponizing AI. They're using AI to scale their operations. They're utilizing AI to automate their attacks. They're utilizing AI to bypass traditional security measures. And it's happening faster than most organizations realize. We're basically in a phase where cyber attacks are being supercharged by AI. Threat actors are using AI, and what we are seeing is a shift from isolated manual attacks to autonomous AI driven threat operations. Now, AI powered phishing campaigns, that's not something new. We've all seen that in the past. Now we're seeing deepfakes, right? We're seeing model tampering. We're seeing prompt injection attacks. We're seeing adversaries leveraging generative AI to make their attacks more convincing, more targeted, and more harder to detect, right? And this trend isn't just theoretical, it's already here. Now, why this matters? AI tools aren't that hard to get, right? They're cheap, they're open source, and they're often free. That means that attackers can enter the space and run sophisticated campaigns with minimal resources, right? And the AI allows these attackers to launch highly adaptive attacks in seconds. And this puts immense pressure on traditional security teams and the tools which can't always respond that quickly. Keep in mind that many organizations don't yet have clear policies in place on how AI tools should be used. That creates a massive opportunity for social engineering and data leakage. So, we know that organizations are utilizing AI. We know that the threat actors are doing the same, just with malicious intent. So, let's walk through some of the most common and emerging ways attackers are leveraging generative AI across the threat landscape, right? So if you look at AI powered phishing, um, Gen AI allows attackers to generate highly personalized phishing emails in seconds, right? In the past, we see grammatical errors, we see content that doesn't make sense, we see emails are being targeted to a specific person, or we see that there's a specific writing style that gets easily detected by an end user and gets reported as phishing. But what used to take hours for a threat actor to draft can now be done in minutes, in fact, in seconds with AI, right? Making phishing more scalable, making phishing more believable and more dangerous. Not only that, we're also seeing stealing of sensitive data from models, right? So threat actors can query LLM, large language models, to extract private or sensitive information, especially if the models have been trained on unfiltered or proprietary data. This is why prompt injection attacks and model data hygiene are becoming such a hot topic in security discussions. We also cannot ignore the exploitation of vulnerabilities. AI is helping attackers identify and exploit vulnerabilities faster. They're using AI for scanning code bases, for scanning infrastructures, for identifying vulnerabilities in network configurations, all utilizing AI integrated into automated tools. In some cases, generative AI is helping attackers write or refine exploit code, right? It's reducing the skill barrier needed to launch the attacks. So a script kiddie can now take advantage of generative AI and launch sophisticated attacks against their target. Now, another concern is deepfakes, especially about your organization. So we're seeing a rise in deepfake audio and video content. Now, this can be used in disinformation campaigns. This can be used in executive fraud, CEO fraud. It can be used to damage the organization's reputation. These synthetic media tools are becoming more convincing and becoming more accessible, right? So it increases their potential in utilizing these tools for phishing, extortion, or business email compromise. Now, AI has also, in the recent times, have allowed attackers to gather intelligence faster, which means that it's aiding them in reconnaissance and learning. It's allowing the threat actors to scrape websites, social media, job posting, and public documents to build a detailed profile on individuals and organizations that can be used to draft tailored attack or impersonation attempts against that organization. Now, we're also seeing attackers use model poisoning and tampering. What that means is they're looking to corrupt the AI model at the very source. So during the training phase or through manipulated inputs, and this is called model poisoning, right? It's particularly dangerous because it can undermine the trustworthiness of the entire system. So now you have a compromised AI that you can no longer trust. So it has lost its integrity and you can no longer trust the outcomes of that system. Now, another key component is denial of service attacks, right? So we're seeing AI help attackers identify weak points or generate traffic patterns that can evade detection. For example, in a specific use case, flooding a system with malicious or adversarial input can degrade its performance or even force it to go offline, and it all can be amplified through the use of AI tools. By crafting a malicious input disguised as normal instructions, threat actors are manipulating language learning models to behave as an unintended adversary in project injection attacks, right? So this might involve leaking information, bypassing safety filters, or performing unauthorized actions, all by generating or crafting malicious input for injection attacks. We're also seeing threat actors using and sharing and selling techniques to jailbreak AI models, right? So disabling the built-in security features, disabling the limitation of that module to produce more offensive, harmful, or illegal content, right? These vulnerabilities are especially concerning in public-facing AI deployments like ChatGPT, like Copilot, like Gemini. Now, some of the key takeaways here are AI is expanding, and so is the attacker's toolkit, right? We need to now look at multiple stages of the kill chain, from reconnaissance to payload delivery, and we need to be proactive in detection, containment, and eradication of that. We also need to be wary of AI generated phishing that continues to remain a top concern because sensitive data can be extracted from Gen AI models and it can be used to target against your employees, against your organization. And finally, the deepfakes, right? We're expecting to see an increase in not just for phishing, but for fraud and hacktivism, right? For corporate sabotage, for political manipulation, right? So deepfakes are on the rise and is a major concern. The bottom line here is that AI is giving threat actors the scale, the speed, and the sophistication. And it is happening fast. That's why organizations must not only secure their infrastructure, but also rethink how they govern and monitor the use of AI within their organization. Now, here's some stats for you. Just the evolving nature of e-crime based on threat actors, right? So Canadian organizations are already feeling the impact, with two-thirds reporting breaches in 2023, and that's only expected to go up, right? The slide here illustrates a major shift in the evolution of cybercrime, specifically how threat actors have steadily increased the speed, scale, and efficiency. If you look at the timeline from 2013 to 2024, you'll notice how attack maturity and threat actor sophistication have evolved dramatically over the past 10 years, right? So let's break it down. In 2013, it was mostly smaller objectives, right? You will see stuff like a crypto locker, which is attacks that were often opportunistic or limited in scope, right? Ransomware, for example, you saw encryption of personal files, ransom being demanded in terms of Bitcoin, and decryption being available once you pay that ransom, right? Who was being targeted? Individuals, small businesses, right? How were they being targeted? Through phishing emails, through malicious attachments, right? Now, if we fast forward to 2015, that's more organized ecosystem, right? So we're looking at ransomware as a service. We're looking at threat actors becoming more specialized, becoming and operating like organized businesses, right? We're seeing more targeted ransomware activities. We're seeing that they're brute forcing on weak communication protocols, right? We're looking at critical infrastructure being targeted. We're looking at healthcares, school boards, city governments, and especially when operated like a business model, so ransomware as a service, it showed a shift towards professionalization of a cybercrime ecosystem, right? And then if we look at 2017, that's more large scale, right? We see the emergence of Lazarus Group. The attacks have now become more strategic, more state sponsored, right? We're looking at infrastructure and large organizations being targeted. Obviously, this is a state sponsored advanced persistent threat actor. We see ties to nation states, North Korea. We see major breaches like WannaCry, Sony Pictures hack, right? We see financial institutions being targeted. And Lazarus Group was one of the first groups to blend cybercrime with geopolitical objectives, right? So now we were seeing a large scale multi-vector operations. And if you go into 2019, that's where we see the Maze threat actor come up, right? So Maze kind of pioneered the double extortion model, right? So encrypting data and also threatening to leak it, right? If ransom is not paid. So if you have backups, you can restore your data after a crypto malware or ransomware attack. But if threat actors have exfiltrated your data, now they're threatening to publicly shame you. They're threatening to publish your data, and that could include PII, that could include IP, right? So inventing double extortion method and public shaming to force companies to weigh in on the reputational damage of not paying the ransom, right? And again, the target was large enterprises, and it was more targeted towards organizations that care about their brand reputation in the market, right? So that's 2019 for you. 2021, we see high velocity attack vectors, right? So Wizard Spider, that's a ransomware group which began to set record speeds when it comes to breaching to ransom in just 2 hours, right? So the speed was their weapon, right? Again, it was part of ransomware as a service. There were different groups like Ryuk, Conti, and they would go from initial access to full encryption in less than 2 hours, right? That tells you that your internal capabilities to respond to a threat should be instantaneous, right? You cannot wait hours or days to respond to a cyber threat, right? You must respond immediately, swiftly. Now, what was the impact of this? Um, Healthcare institutions, governments, educational systems, and this is what kind of evolved the need for 24/7 threat detection and introduced a new level of urgency to incident response, right? And this is where the organizations, from a lessons learned perspective, saw the need of containment in near real time, right? And then if you fast forward to 2023 and 2024 and onwards, we see highly aggressive attack vectors, right? We see supply chain attacks, we see social engineering plus credential abuse. We're looking at Okta breach, MGM breach. We're looking at a blend of human vulnerabilities being exploited and the technical tactics utilized to break the vulnerabilities on critical systems. Leveraging of supply chain as an entry point has become more common, right? And we have seen a massive scale with AI driven attacks in 2024 and beyond, right? Now we're seeing GPT style tools that can automate the entire attack chain, right? So attack campaigns can now be generated, customized, and launched by AI with minimal human intervention. This means that more attacks, faster attacks, and a broader reach. And once tied to nation state attackers and APT groups leveraging AI, it becomes a very sophisticated and dangerous tool, right? So auto GPT like tools can automate the reconnaissance, can automate phishing and payload generation for those threat actors. Now, while AI is being used to generate phishing and social engineering script, it's also able to run a multi-step campaign without human oversight, right? So it's able to build new exploits, discover new vulnerabilities, write sophisticated exploit kits for you, right? And traditional detections are struggling to keep up with the speed and the variation of the attacks generated by these AI tools. So what do we do with that, right? We can't just, sit and wonder how to fight the good fight. But the good part is that we can fight AI with AI. Now we're seeing a shift in the trend where security vendors across the industry are embedding AI and machine learning into their tools with the key focus of detection, prevention, and responding to threats faster and more accurately than ever before. What we are seeing is AI embedded into endpoint protection, AI embedded into your SIM, into your SOAR platform, into network security, email filtering, DLP tools, so on and so on. Now, these tools can detect anomalies faster, they can respond automatically, and they can even predict potential breaches before they occur based on patterns and recognition of baseline. Now let's break down on how AI is being used across these key areas of your security tech stack, right? And how vendors are leading the way in each category. When we talk about endpoint protection, we have vendors like SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, Microsoft Defender. They have built behavioral AI models to detect suspicious activity on your devices in real time. Things like unusual processes, file changes, lateral movement can easily be detected. We're looking at SentinelOne and CrowdStrike and Defender. They're using autonomous agents that respond instantaneously to threats without human intervention. Microsoft Defender is leveraging a vast cloud telemetry to predict and stop malware before it gets executed. We're seeing a similar trend in network security. We see vendors like Radware, Cisco, Akamai, even Palo Alto, where they are utilizing AI to monitor massive volumes of traffic and detect anomalies that human analysts might miss. Cisco and Akamai are applying AI to spot zero-day attack vectors. They're looking at AI to identify botnets, DDoS traffic in real time. Radware is using AI for automated mitigation, for adaptive threat modeling based on live data flow. And this has never been seen before, right? Speaking of SIM and SOAR, vendors like Fortinet, Palo Alto, even Microsoft Sentinel, Elastic, in security operations, AI is playing a huge role in both detecting threats and automating the response workflow. So both from a SIM perspective and a SOAR perspective, right? Security orchestration, automation, and response. Now, Fortinet and Palo Alto are using machine learning and they correlate millions of log data and flag the most critical incidents, right? They're using playbooks powered by AI to automate common response actions, reducing time to containment. And the same can be replicated on Elasticsearch, same can be replicated on Splunk, same can be replicated on any SIM solution or any SOAR tool, right? It's a matter of integrating the tools together to work as one cooperative ecosystem tied in and receiving input from an AI model. Now, Secure Edge and SASE. Again, here we have vendors like Palo Alto and Zscaler. At the network edge, where cloud apps and remote users are meeting, right? AI is used to enforce policies, inspect traffic on the fly. Zscaler, for example, applies AI for data loss prevention. They're applying AI for zero trust enforcement and inline threat inspection. Palo Alto, on the other hand, is also bringing in content-aware threat detection right to the user level, right? So we see that vendors are integrating AI for better detection and better response of these threat actors and the attack vectors. When we look at vendors like Checkpoint and Proofpoint from an email standpoint, and again, keep in mind, email remains one of the top attack vectors, right? And AI is helping us defend it more effectively. Proofpoint and Checkpoint, they both utilize AI to analyze sender behavior. They're looking at language patterns. They're looking at metadata to catch impersonation, business email compromise attempts, phishing, that traditional filters would miss, right? These tools are also using natural language processing to understand the intent behind the suspicious email, right? So if it's a vendor email compromise, which is sending you a malicious email or a request to update payment information, it will flag it as such, right? So proceed with caution. We're also seeing on IoT and mobility, especially with Nozomi networks, checkpoints, we're seeing that AI-powered visibility and anomaly detection across industrial and IoT networks. We're looking at AI being utilized to protect mobile endpoints, identify device-level risk, and preventing app-based exploits in real time, right? Keep in mind that AI is no longer a buzzword, right? AI has been embedded into every layer of modern defense stack. These vendors are now using AI to not only shorten detection time, but also reduce alert fatigue, right? Enable faster, smarter responses, which is exactly what we need in a world where attackers are also moving at machine speed, right? So now AI alone is not enough, right? You need both powerful tools and human expertise to truly defend your organization. And this is where Bell and Strategym's joint offering comes into play. At the heart of our cyber defense strategy, we have our cyber mesh architecture. Now, our cyber mesh architecture is an intelligence platform, right? It combines AI-driven detection with automated playbooks, and we have our team of analysts working across the working or 24/7, 365, providing threat hunting, forensics, and incident response. Now, it's not just about technology, right? Our security professionals have decades of experience in securing Canada's largest enterprises. So when it comes to defending against today's AI-driven tools, we need to understand the integrated defense system, right? We need to ensure that our cyber mesh platform, which is the foundation of our managed SOC, brings together AI, automation, and the human expertise. So our SOC, leveraging the cyber mesh architecture, brings in the best in class security technologies, whether it's Palo Alto, Zscaler, Cisco, Sentinel One, Microsoft, Proofpoint, ServiceNow, you name it. The idea is to integrate all of your security tools, your legacy or on-prem environment, into a cyber mesh that integrates and ensures that nothing slips through the cracks, right? It breaks down silos, and it allows us to see the full picture across endpoints, across firewalls, across SaaS application, across OT networks, and more. So what are the core pillars, the four core pillars that allows us to deliver secure outcomes for our customers, right? So we aggregate and correlate security data from across your entire environment, right? Whether it's cloud, endpoint, identity, or network. We utilize the SIM tool for advanced analytics and machine learning. We integrate our SOAR tools, which is where automation and incident response workflows can be defined. We can build automated playbooks to isolate a device, revoke credentials, create a ticket, contain threats in seconds, not hours, right? We also leverage machine learning and AI driven threat detection rules. So we integrate with AI tools and we leverage the built in AI capabilities of those vendors. We automate the incident response playbook. So now we can streamline decision making and we can have AI support that decision making, right? The playbooks can be built on the go, right? Leveraging the customized technologies that each client or each managed security customer have embedded within their organization. And why this matters to our customers is because they don't need to worry about managing a dozen disconnected tools. We manage an ecosystem of integrated solutions for them, provide them 24/7 monitoring and response capabilities. And most importantly, you get actionable insights, you get faster detections, you get proactive and resilient defense posture, right? Now, our cyber mesh is not just a tech stack, right? It's a living, breathing, learning defense ecosystem. It's powered by AI, operated by seasonal threat hunters. It's how we protect our customers, ensuring that we break the silos and force your tools and your integrated solutions to work as one cooperative ecosystem. Now, AI and automation are transforming cybersecurity, but technology isn't the answer alone, right? Real power comes when you combine AI and automation with human expertise. And that's where Stratagem and Bell bring a truly unique advantage to the table. At the core of our operations, we have our Cyber Intelligence Center. Our Cyber Intelligence Center is the 24/7 managed SOC where we have professionals not just monitoring alerts, but investigating, triaging, and containing the threat in real time, right? And then we have the Bell Network Security Specialist, bringing deep technical knowledge in firewalls, DDoS mitigation, network architecture, ensuring that at every layer of your environment, we have secure practices and it stays protected. And beyond the alerting and blocking are threat hunters who are proactively searching for hidden threats before they get escalated into major incidents. But keep in mind, behind the scenes, we have a strategic layer led by our senior architects and security strategists, right? Our professional services team work closely with our customers to design tailored cybersecurity roadmaps. Now, the key objective here is to bring real world experience from defending organizations against the most sophisticated cyber threat vectors and introducing the human firewall component, right? Working in collaboration with AI tools to build one cooperative ecosystem, which is your cyber mesh to secure your organization. Now, how can you make this possible? You need a cybersecurity AI governance model, right? Keep in mind that governance is not just about compliance, right? It's transforming your cybersecurity landscape by leveraging the proper tools that make up your security ecosystem, right? You need governance to map business needs to security controls. So AI governance would ensure that we use AI ethically, we use AI securely, and in alignment with our business objectives. So the risks around privacy, compliance, data security should be identified and controlled through AI governance. Your internal teams and employees should be clear on roles and responsibilities and acceptable use policy of AI tools. And without governance, you can create more exposure than value. Okay. So how do we address this? Well, first we need to establish a cross-functional AI steering committee. AI is not just a technology initiative, it touches every part of your business. That's why the first step in effective governance is to create a cross functional AI steering committee. This group should include stakeholders from your IT, cybersecurity, legal, compliance, HR, and relevant business units, right? Each brings a different perspective. IT and security ensure the safe integration. Legal and compliance assess the risk and regulation. HR addresses the ethics and the fairness. And business leaders align IT or AI to strategic goals. Now, this committee becomes the central decision making body for your AI policies. Then you need to define an acceptable use and a policy framework. So once the governance structure is in place, organization needs clear, enforceable, acceptable use policy for AI. These should be defined which AI tools can be permitted, right? What type of data can be processed by these AI tools? Who has the authority to deploy or access AI system, right? So you need a strong framework that outlines procedures for reviewing AI use cases, establishing consequences for misuse, ensuring that there is no unintentional data exposure, compliance violation, or biased decision making, right? These policies should be supported by training and education. And obviously, you need to classify and monitor your data because the major source of risk is improperly managed data, right? Data classification and monitoring is foundational, and it's foundational to governance as well. Organizations need to start with thorough data discovery, understanding where data resides, right? And what is the sensitivity of that data and label it accordingly, right? Is it public, internal, confidential, regulated? And then handle that data accordingly, right? Apply controls, access controls, and stack. Um, Make sure that you have controls across both IT infrastructure and controls on the AI model lifecycle itself, right? This means that you're enforcing traditional security controls like encryption, access management, audit logging at the data level, right? At the identity level. And also you're controlling how AI inputs are filtered, right? And how the output is trained and monitored and reviewed, right? So this dual layer approach allows you to reduce the risk of prompt injection attacks, right? So you have to ultimately ensure that governance is addressing where data lives and how AI utilizes that data. You also need to evaluate the risk from multidimensional viewpoint, right? It's not just about technical vulnerabilities. It's also about reputational, legal, operational, and ethical risk as well. For example, AI tool that seems efficient on paper might unintentionally introduce bias, right? It might expose personal data. It might produce non-compliant outputs, right? So you need proper governance to ensure that you're avoiding such scenarios, right? Um, I know an organization which has an AI tool that goes through all the resumes for new hires, right, for any open position before they shortlist the candidate. But what if it introduces a bias in selection process, right? So you need to ensure that it does not, it's properly governed and it reflects your brand's value and commitment to responsible use of technology, right? And then embed governance into AI design from the very get-go. Okay, as you deploy systems, as you leverage AI, make sure governance is embedded from the very beginning, right? This means that reviewing projects during planning, evaluating vendors before procurement, and making sure that you have compliance and security built into the design and the development process. Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few critical actions to consider when it comes to utilizing and securing AI in your organization. First, remember good governance is better security, right? So AI governance is all about aligning security with business strategy. Make sure that you have defined clear policies, you have defined clear responsibilities, you have defined a steering committee that brings together the voices from across your organization in making key decisions on how you will utilize your AI. Now, take a multidimensional approach to security risk, right? It's about protecting your data. It's about limiting data exposure. It's about your brand reputational damage, right? You also need data security and foundational control. So, classification of data, making sure that you understand where sensitive data reside, making sure that you have a DLP for your AI. Now, a lot of organizations, they are conflicted. They want to utilize AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, but they're afraid that their users, employees would share sensitive information into the AI chat prompts, right? So you can have a DLP that monitors the chat prompts and restricts certain type of data from being shared with AI models, right? So you need a DLP tool for AI for better governance. You also need to integrate AI as part of your security defense strategy, right? It's fighting fire with fire, right? The most effective use cases for AI is threat detection and data protection, right? You don't have to navigate this alone. With Stratagem, a Bell Canada company, you can work with us. We support organizations through every stage of AI governance, from assessment to implementation into integrating as part of your defense strategy, and providing you 24/7 managed services where AI can be converted into a strength, not a risk. So, with that said, let's break down the three critical takeaways. Okay, AI is accelerating, right? We know that the threat actors are using AI. We need to increase the speed, scale, and complexity of our defenses because the attackers have done the same. We need to protect our organization against convincing phishing campaigns, deep fake enabled scams, and automated reconnaissance. So we need to integrate AI into our defenses, leveraging the security vendors and leveraging the automated playbook, the SOAR integration, and the cyber mesh architecture. We need the right partners, right? We need to partner with trusted vendors. We need to leverage AI to strengthen our defenses. We need to invest in predictive threat detection, automated responses, and advanced analytics. Let Bell and Stratagem lead the way, right? We have the expertise. This is not something new for us. We have been using the latest AI and cybersecurity strategies. We have been securing customers, are providing round the clock monitoring with a full suite of managed services ready to help you build a secure AI first and AI ready future, right? Now, just some final thoughts that AI is moving fast, okay, and so are the risks. But with the right governance, with the right technology, with the right partners, you can harness the AI's power to safely, responsibly, and strategically work together to secure your organization. With that said, I believe we have a few minutes left for some Q&A. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, your question. Feel free to drop them in the chat and answer them accordingly.
Tala, always amazing. Thank you. Every time I hear you speak, I learn something new each time. We do have questions. Let me just start with the first one here. So, how can organizations ensure employees aren't leaking sensitive data into tools like ChatGPT?
So as I mentioned earlier, you need an AI DLP tool, right? Now, we know that organizations are utilizing Gen AI tools, right? They are going to integrate and they are going to share information with these AI tools, right? So making sure you have a DLP tool that has a policy defined based on data classification for certain keywords, certain type of information, intellectual property, to not be able to share that with AI prompts, right? And there are
Okay,
multiple tools that you can use to your advantage. We have Palo Alto doing that. We also have Microsoft Purview with specific DLP policies on the utilization of AI and controlling what you put into the chat prompt.
I love that. Okay, perfect. We have a few more here, and there's two more coming in. I see the bubbles going. So here's the second question. What are some immediate steps we can take to improve AR governance in our organization, which is great. What can people do today to make that improvement?
Well, first, identify your governance committee, right? Who are the key stakeholders? Who are the key decision makers from IT, from legal, from compliance, from various business units, right? Map out some use cases. What are your immediate risk? Is it data exfiltration? Is it policies for responsible AI use? Is it discovery and classification of data, right? Remember
Okay,
that governance is your immediate action item. It's not a one-time task though. It's an evolving framework. So you have to continuously reassess your risks related to AI governance and work on making decisions on how to address that.
perfect. The other one here is a bit more specific. What makes Bell and Stratagem, what makes that our approach different from other cybersecurity providers using AI?
So, see, AI and integration and automation is now trending, but we have been doing that for the last 3 years. Okay. We have been using a combination of AI automation and the human expertise. Our cyber mesh architecture, our cyber mesh platform, it uses AI for real time detection and automated response. We are utilizing our SOC, which is our cyber intelligence center, with integrated tools and the AI as a validation, as an enrichment module to ensure that we are analyzing, verifying, and neutralizing the threat in record time, right? And that's our containment, 5 minute to containment commitment to our customers.
I love that. Beautiful. I think there's another question here, but I can't seem to get it. Hmm. It's not coming through. All right. So what we can do is the couple people that sent the questions in. I see like it's moving, but I can't see the text. What I'll do is this: we will answer that question, and when we send you the thank you email for attending, we'll have those answers in there for you. So that please don't be sad. We will take care of that right away for you.
And if you want to connect with us or learn more, feel free to reach out. There's a QR code on your screen that will take us to our website where you can request to host a demo or talk to one of our security professionals.
Great. Well, Talha, what a great way to spend an early afternoon. Learned a lot. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us today. And stay tuned for more. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev.